Sports History, I'm JP. In 1904, Cy Young pitches the first perfect game in modern baseball for Boston Americans against the Philadelphia Athletics, 3-0. In 1982, Californian federal jury rules NFL violates antitrust laws in preventing the Oakland Raiders' move to the LA Coliseum. In 1987, Mario Andretti sets one-lap speed record at Indianapolis at 218 miles an hour. In 1994, Lennox Lewis knocks out Phil Jackson in 8 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 2002, Barry Bonds hits his 400th home run as a San Francisco Giant in a 3-0 win over Cincinnati. Bonds is the first player with 400 homers for one team and 100 with another. And in 2019, Pablo Sandoval becomes the second MLB player since 1900 to throw a scoreless outing, hit a home run, and steal a base in the same game in the San Francisco Giants' 12-4 loss to Cincinnati. Not too bad for Kung Fu Panda, huh? That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Gathering at Pensacola Beach is a wonderful family experience. If you thought of having a family celebration or an amazing beach wedding, there's a very special home now available, Casa de Luna. Casa de Luna is spacious with room for large families. It has 9 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. Casa de Luna is a large private home with a refreshing pool and water views. The pool can be heated for swimming in colder months. Casa de Luna is unique in that the main living area is directly on sand level. It's very convenient. Bedrooms are both on the sand level and upstairs. One bathroom is handicap friendly and another has a new jacuzzi. And there's a large gaming porch with pool table, foosball, hockey, ping pong, and Xbox One. Bicycles are provided. Bring your family to Casa de Luna on Pensacola Beach.
For information, call Casa de Luna owner Tim at 791-6400. That's 791-6400. 791-6400.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Spring is sprung and it's time for your favorite weekend activities. It all starts with a stop at Barnes Feed Store. Now's the time to get your hands dirty planting your favorite flowers and vegetables in the garden. What will you grow this year? Barnes Feed Store has been helping gardens grow better for generations. You'll sure have the best smelling backyard while grilling those burgers on your Big Green Egg. Now you can get the Big Green Egg and accessories at Barnes. Get your gardening, grilling, pet supplies, and so much more at Barnes Feed Store in Inslee on Old Palafox.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, washing your hands, practicing social distancing. Look, we talked about it before, and we've look, the beaches are opening back up. Some businesses and restaurants are able to open back up in this phase one. But continue practicing all these things here. That's the reason we got to this point. We've done such a fantastic job as a community. We got to keep it up, though. And as we always start out our show, and we always will continue to at this point, we want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers. Listen, they're on the front lines every single day, regardless of COVID-19 going on or not. These folks are out there every single day trying to protect us and help us get us back to normal. We appreciate them so much. And I have friends of mine, of course, my significant other being a nurse. I have utmost respect for these people and what they do day in and day out. And the thing is, they enjoy doing it. That's the difference in all this. Nobody's forcing them into doing this. They love doing it. They love helping people. And I think that's awesome. We thank them so much. I also want to thank, the other essential employees out there, grocery store employees, truck drivers, anybody and everybody, you know who you are. Now with the restaurants opening up, we appreciate them as well. And even for the restaurants that have been doing takeout, you guys, you've been right there with us the whole entire time. We appreciate it, putting yourself out there as well. Trying to make things as normal as possible in a time like this when right now is not normal. Let's just be honest. This is something that nobody's truly had to go through. I know, Coach, you haven't really gone through anything like this either, but Coach, we just appreciate everybody, what they've been able to do so far, and so far so good. But how are you doing today, my friend? Coach? Oh, we got to work to get Coach on the line there. Look, while we're doing that, once again, like I said, this is something that it's different for everybody. So when we talk about everybody going through this, I think it's very important. Practice patience with people. Practice patience when you're going out and getting the groceries and everything like that. It's something that, like I said, nobody has had to do before. And you know what? Even talking to Coach K, I asked Coach K, Coach, I mean, what do we do in a time like this? What would you do? What have you done? He's like, well, JP, I've never had to go through this. So I think it's very interesting just to listen to somebody like Coach. And listen, Coach has been around. He is one of the most well-respected people around in Pensacola as well. I think it's very important to get his take, and that's when he even goes, listen, I don't know what to tell you. But you know what, Coach, we're practicing social distancing here as well at ESPN Pensacola. I know we appreciate him. We appreciate all our sponsors out there as well. Look, this is a time when it's, like I said, it's different for everybody. We appreciate them hanging in with us and being able to bring football to you guys, talk football. We couldn't do it without them. We're so appreciative. Not only that, though, to what they mean to our community out there. Our community, like I said, is their day in and day out there among all of you, and they're delivering food. They're doing things to help everybody. Just fantastic people. But I think we got Coach on the line. Coach, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you, JP.
Coach, I want to get into a couple things here. There's so much to talk about. Of course, a big story here. It's something that I think maybe we'll be talking about a lot more down the road. Right now, with everything going on, I don't know, Coach, and I'll get your take on this. But of course, on Feinbaum's show, a Minnesota Board of Regents member was asked why the NCAA is needed in today's landscape, to which he responded, well, the NCAA was needed in 1906, but the current leadership is now struggling to keep the organization going. He went on to say the NCAA is about money, power, and control, and he wouldn't be surprised to see the Power 5 schools move away from the NCAA. And, Coach Paul Feinbaum has been open about displaying his displeasure with the NCAA, and Mark Emmert said he can see this happening before we know it. And players wanting to get paid and how the NCAA has lost control, it seems that this is almost inevitable at this point. Coach, my question is, could we really see Power 5 conferences move away from the NCAA and basically be their own league? I mean, I find so many flaws in this. I know it's still early, but, Coach, I agree that the NCAA has lost a lot of control. They go back and forth. I don't really know if they know what they're wanting to do right now. But, Coach, could this happen? I mean, could you see this happening in the coming years?
Yeah, unfortunately I can. And, there's pro and con with the NCAA. They have lost control. I will concede that. I think they've lost control, and they certainly are less than authoritative on this move with players being paid. And you're right, they really have no direction on that, and they're floundering. So those are reasons that the Power 5 has for a long time now. Don't think that they haven't had this on their mind for quite a few years. They have. And I think it eventually will happen. But I think they better have their I's dotted and T's crossed when they do make that move, because you're going to have some type of organization in college football to keep everybody on the same page. Otherwise, you're going to have inequity after inequity. And even among the Power Five, you say, well, how does that happen? Well, my goodness, it'll happen inside the conference even. They say, well, the conference will take care of that. So you got to have something that has some jurisdiction over the conferences as a whole. And I think there has to be something similar to the NCAA, but with better organization, more control, and they have to have it right from the start through the constitution of whatever league or whatever you want to call it that they put together for the Power Five. But that's the way I see it going in the future. I really do.
Coach, on this, and I have a bunch of different feelings on this. I know Jeffrey D's been on the show with us before and talked about this is going to create nothing but a bidding war if you're going to pay players and allow players to be paid. And I think it goes, look, if the Power Five conferences separate, if they go away from the NCAA here, then this becomes basically a semi-pro league. And I think you're right, is they better make sure they have their things in order, which obviously they hopefully will, but I hope I don't live to see that day. And of course, I mean what I'm saying, and that is not that I hope I die soon, of course, but just in general, I hope it doesn't happen, just because of what the NCAA is. And then college football, it's one of those things that it's down here in the South that means so much to so many people. People spend their vacation funds to go out there to get season tickets and everything, and it brought a lot of families together. And I understand with everything that goes involved with it, but Coach, I just think we've seen leagues like the Alliance of American Football fail. We've seen the XFL. Now, the XFL was going to succeed until, of course, all this stuff with COVID-19 happened. But to see teams separate like this, I can see it happening, but all the details, and I know that I'm not going to understand all the details, I just find it very, very interesting to say the very least, because now it's nothing but, which all it is about money mostly anyway, but a just complete bidding war on people, which is where I think with the NCAA talking about they're allowing players, we'll allow players to get paid, but we also left some room in there so we can control some things. I don't know how that can be controlled, but this whole Power 5 conference conversation I think could happen a lot sooner than what we think. I agree with Paul Feinbaum on this.
Well, it could, and as I said, there's pro and con to both scenarios. I do think that's true, that if the Power 5 conferences are left to their own devices, you're going to have a sitting pro league. No question in my mind about that. And if that does happen, they're going to lose control. There's no way they can keep control, because once money enters into this, you're going to have agents and you're going to have attorneys and you're going to have other people getting involved in both the equitable distribution and my guy's better than his guy type thing. And it's just because they're going to be there, and they're going to promote for the most availability of dollars that they can, which is that's going to lead to some rather nefarious type activity. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But we're just going to have to see what happens here. Hopefully, better judgment will rule, but that hasn't necessarily been the case all the time, JP.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach, and I hope that the NCAA can kind of find their ground in all this and move forward, because it's, college football is a special part of my life as well, and I know yours too, Coach. But moving on here, Coach, a couple things. The NFL, Eli Manning came out and was interviewed, of course, and talking about Daniel Jones and his second season. Now we know Daniel Jones is a talented quarterback. He's a guy that, you don't hear anything about. He's quiet. A lot of people, the kid out of Duke are saying, well, why did they draft this guy? And I thought he was a good quarterback. I thought, it's a situation, again, where he wasn't necessarily set up to win, They have a lot of holes, but that's the way it is now in the in the NFL with teams drafting early. There's a reason you're up in the front for Coach. When you look at Daniel Jones here, Eli Manning coming out and saying, "Listen, this year is going to be a lot better for him. For one, I'm not there," and he said, "Imagine trying to step in and be the leader of a team when a guy like myself has been there for so many years." Sitting in the locker room, listening to people talk and listening to the media talk. You're in New York. He goes, it's one of the toughest places to play in New York. And look, me being there in the meeting rooms, everything, just the whole dynamic. He goes, now I'm gone. This is his team. He knows this is his team. And moving forward, when you look at the way the Giants drafted, Coach, I like the way they drafted, going out and getting some offensive line help. Remember, him and Saquon Barkley, those are two very talented. Saquon is an extremely talented back, and I hope he can stay healthy. But Coach, when you look at Daniel Jones, nobody talks about him a whole lot. But this team with the Giants, when you look at Daniel Jones, is this guy first off, do you think he's going to have a better season this year now that Eli Manning's gone, or does that make a difference in the locker room? And I deflect this to you because you've been there, Coach. But also, is Daniel Jones the guy? I mean, is this a guy that you can see being in the league for 10 years with this team?
I like Daniel Jones. I've said this consistently. From the time that he was in the combine. I think that he has the tools, he has the intangibles, certainly the intelligence, football savvy. He's a winner. I like Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be a good player for years to come. Now, his productivity, I don't think is going to be affected that much by whether Eli Manning is there or not. In fact, Eli Manning being there and being somewhat of a mentor might have been a plus. I would count that on the plus side rather than the negative side. But it's going to depend on how well they can build that offensive line up. And he needs a little more help within the receiver department, and they need to be able to get people off the field defensively and give him better field position. So they got a lot of holes to fill. And I think they did. I agree with you. I think they did a pretty good job at the draft. And they're going to be better, but how much better is going to be difficult, very difficult to determine. When we get a little bit later on, we're going to start looking at the schedules of teams and going through that. We'll have a better idea, but it's going to be tough in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing, too, with Daniel Jones, which is why I like the pick a lot, I know a lot of people didn't, was David Cutcliffe was his coach in college. And Cutcliffe has done a fantastic job at Duke. And not only that, though, is he has brought up some pretty amazing quarterbacks when you look at guys like Peyton Manning. So, his list he has 8 or 9 guys that he's coached that were high-level players in the NFL. So that's where I love Daniel Jones. I like the move there. But, Coach, you're right. The schedule is released tomorrow evening, so we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more Friday moving forward as well throughout this offseason. But for Daniel Jones and that Giants team, it's a tough division, especially with the way the teams are moving up now. Coach, I want to talk about something before we go to break here. Tennessee football. Now, the Vols. The Vols is a team we haven't necessarily talked about a whole lot the past few years. Some hardships, to say the very least. Now, Jeremy Pruitt coming over last year at the beginning of the year after the first 2 losses there, people were ready to get rid of him. And then all of a sudden, the team went on a tear. Now, use caution when we talk about this Tennessee team finished the season on a high note. They did play a fairly soft schedule, but nonetheless, depending on how you want to look at this, they finished right. They finished well. I mean, they got 7 wins. They did a great job. Coach, we're looking at recruiting. Now, we know that Jeremy Pruitt can recruit. He's a guy that's looked upon like a Kirby Smart, maybe not to that level yet, doesn't have the respect level yet as well. But this team right now is getting a lot of hype. Now, just recently, they got a bunch of commits the past 8 or 9 days. And, of course, they're popping in the news, as Tennessee likes to do. Coach, I did a little research on this. Now, their caliber ranking, and we all know the caliber ranking goes from your 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. It's the caliber of player that you get to recruit and you get to commit and sign at your program. It basically is a 0 to 100 scale. So, of course, teams like Clemson in the past few years, Ohio State's have had like 94s, 95s. Georgia's had 93s, teams like that, to give you an idea of the style player. So right now, Tennessee has an 89.21, which you look at it, and they're second right now for the 2021 rankings. And I understand that it's 2021. We still got a ways off. But I wanted to look into this to see is the hype real or is it nothing but hype right now. Coach, last year, they had 89.92 caliber ranking with their recruits, which was 7th in the SEC. Just in the SEC, not in the nation. Coach, when you look at this, 89.21 this year so far, what I see is they've just gotten a bunch of recruits maybe earlier this year. Should we believe in the hype in Tennessee, and should we believe in a guy like Jeremy Pruitt moving forward?
Yeah, I think Jeremy Pruitt's done a heck of a job, a very good job, in fact. I've got a lot of respect for what they did at Tennessee last year, especially. Now, keep in mind, I don't put the greatest amount of credibility with these different ratings that they have for high school players. It's tough enough for the pros who have the very best out there trying to rate college players. And you have a lot better chance to rate college players and what they've done than you would high school. And yet, it's a rather interesting exercise to look at who drafted whom and how these different rating services, how to rate it. But I don't think it means a whole heck of a lot. I really don't. And in fact, the case in point would be at Mississippi State. I know I've heard Mullen talk about at Mississippi State one year they were just raked over the coals with a terrible recruiting class they had, and that same class produced a number one rating in the country at Mississippi State, and that's the one with Dak Prescott, and they had 3 or 4 more guys that became very, very valuable professional players. And they were, for a while, rated number one in the country there for about 3 or 4 weeks during the season, which is unusual, very unusual for Mississippi State. But it was not that same class, which was rated so poorly by these different rating services, did not produce the same type player that they wanted to play at Mississippi State at the time. And they got what they wanted from with different criteria in mind, personality, and many other factors that were not included by these so-called rating services. That's just one example, and I think there are many others. I don't think they're the worst thing in the world, but I don't put a lot of credibility in what they come up with.
Yeah, Coach, in the article that you're talking about there with Dan Mullen, Mullen even talks about it's a lot like the NFL draft. You can't judge them until 2 to 3 years down the road. Let's see how they pan out. Because, like you were talking about, Coach, how they fit in a system, that 5-star player may not fit in the system where that 3 or 2-star guy fits perfectly in your system. And it's all about waiting a few years. That's where Dan Mullen cautioned that. He said, listen, I've gotten a lot of players that were off everybody's radar, and they've been superstars here and moved on to the NFL. So, Coach, I agree with you on that. It's just, with Tennessee, I get it. We all like to look at the rankings. It's all a part of being a part of your team and everything like that. But my thing is, I agree. Wait a couple years. Let's see how this pans out, because we've seen some superstar recruiting classes become duds. They just don't fit in the systems. And we've seen some tremendous players fall off and not even play for the teams just because they just don't fit and they're not as good as what we thought they were. Everybody wants to be judged. Everybody wants to go judge that guy and talk about how great he is. Look, Bryce Young at Alabama this year, the 5-star recruit. Let's wait a minute. Everybody wants to say he needs to be the quarterback. Well, that's all well and good, but I get he's a 5-star, but you got a guy like Mac Jones. You got guys like Paul Tyson, guys that will fit that system and that were brought there to fit that system that do a pretty good job. So that's where, I agree, Coach. It's let's wait a little bit, see what happens. But nonetheless, Vols fans, at least you're off to a good start. That's a positive note on this. But listen, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Patriots and their draft and what it appears that Bill Belichick is trying to build there. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Tom Brady and Eli Manning's comments about him. Maybe not so nice. All that and more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
11 Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
For 30 years, Thomas Home Corporation has proudly helped families build their ultimate dream home. If you're looking to customize your home, we are currently building throughout Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, and we can either build to your home in one of our subdivisions or even on your own lot. Our team works with you to guide you through each step and decision in the process. Builder of the 2019 American Dream Home and Builder of the Year, Thomas Homes Corporation has built quality homes at an affordable price since 1990. Begin the process today and become one of our proud homeowners at thomashomescorp.com.
Like all of us, small businesses are being affected and impacted by these uncertain times. But we will get through this together. When you can, please try to support your local restaurants, bars, or any other establishments that are still open for carry-out or delivery. The following businesses continue to serve their communities and customers by remaining open, and they need your support.
Moe's Southwest Grill, open for pickup and delivery.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you. Coach, it's a team, of course, we've talked about plenty, but a team that, well, they're in uncharted territory for quite a while. Tom Brady has left the New England Patriots. We all know the story. It's all old news at this point. What he'll do, we'll talk about it a little bit later with the Buccaneers and some comments people have made as well. But for the Patriots, everybody thought, okay, well, where do they go? Do they go quarterback? Do they go wide receiver? Where are they going to go in the draft? Well, they didn't really go to either one of those. They drafted, now signed a couple guys as undrafted free agents to the quarterback position, but nobody that we think is going to take a guy like Jarrett Stidham's place. We think that there's a lot of hope in a guy like Jarrett Stidham, a lot of confidence in a guy like that. I know you've heard that as well. Coach, when you look at this, they selected, of course, linebacker. They selected the safety out of Lenore Ryan there, first overall, but Josh Uche, the 60th overall pick, this became kind of clear here where the Patriots were going in the direction of defense, obviously. Now, they drafted a ton of guys defensively. Let's remember something that it needs to be said, that they lost 3 regular season games to teams that were RPO-heavy teams. Now, that's run-pass option. We need to remember that. That's kind of a new style that seems to be making its way in the NFL for some teams. And those teams are the Baltimore Ravens, the Houston Texans, and the Kansas City Chiefs, of course, winning the Super Bowl. It seems that in order to shut this offensive strategy down, that's kind of, like I said, taking the league by storm a little bit for a lot of teams, they need size, athleticism, versatility, allow them to line up in kind of a normal 3-4 alignment and be comfortable position when playing that call. So, Coach, when you look at some of the guys they got here, of course, signing safety Adrian Phillips, who played a lot for, played some linebacker and safety for the Chargers, just the guys that they have on the team already, we know that Bill Belichick prides special teams and he prides the defense. That's a no-doubter here. But when you look at guys like Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, some of the other guys that they drafted as well, is this the direction that you see the Patriots trying to understand, look, we've got a problem here on defense. We are vulnerable to certain – now, we can play against a lot of these teams, but we are vulnerable to certain RPO offenses. When he drafted the way he did, is that kind of the feeling you're getting as well?
Well, first, I've got an awful lot of confidence in Belichick. I know that he's not going to take the route that most people would consider taking. And it was obvious to me that he was going to dip back to his reliance on defense. He's first and foremost, he's a defensive coordinator. And he knows that if he can play good defense, he's going to have a chance to win any ball game because they'll be sound, solid on offense, and it'll give them a chance to win. And then they'll get down to strategy and out coaching, and he knows he's going to win there. So I think it was a good move. I'm not sure about the RPO designation. I think he's probably looking at a more speed type offense, people loading up at speed, and he needs more speed conversion on defense. So that would make more sense to me. Run pass option, I really don't think that means a whole heck of a lot. So it's like what plays are you going to call? I don't think it's what plays are you going to call. It's the personnel that he's going to be faced with playing against.
I think it's, you're right. It's something, though, interesting take there, Coach, because you know what? The one thing is you can't count Bill Belichick out. And listen, he has made a living on doing what others said he shouldn't do. I'm going to deflect to a guy like Belichick that's had the success that he's had. And for a lot of people saying that, he can't have success without Tom Brady, I disagree. I think it's the system. And, yes, Tom Brady was great to have, no doubt, and Tom Brady is probably the best to ever play the quarterback position. But moving forward, Coach, it's something that's interesting here. You're absolutely right, though. The one thing with Belichick, like I said, he loves that defense and he loves special teams, and now he's got a little more speed.
Let me interject one thing, though, here. As far as Brady is concerned, it's going to be much more difficult for them to succeed to the extent that they've succeeded in the past without Brady. I can assure you of that. Brady is a missing piece that it's going to take him, I think they have some good talent there at quarterback, and I think he will develop into a good, responsive, productive quarterback for Belichick. But it's going to take him to get to the point that he can do what Brady did on the field. He can't do it right now, Mark, and many I can't name, but maybe one or two others that could. So that you have to take into consideration that there will be a drop-off because of the loss of Brady. Now, to what extent that is and how he can make it up in some other ways, don't ever count him short. I would never count him short, but there will be a drop-off in production offensively. Doesn't mean defensively, but it does mean offensively there will be a reduction in the number of plays, yardage, the control of the football, points on the board. Those types of things are going to be affected.
Yeah, I think defensively, the Patriots, and listen, they've had one of the best defenses for quite a while now. I think that they will continue, and that's look, that division. I still can't count the Patriots out, but you, Coach, talking about the offensive side of things, I think that Belichick understands, of course, losing a player like Brady, moving on to Jarrett Stidham. And listen, we don't know what Jarrett Stidham's going to be. We know what Tom Brady is, and he was obviously one of the greatest of all time for a reason. Just a fantastic career he's had there, but moving on to the Buccaneers. Coach, I want to talk about the Buccaneers for a few minutes. Listen, Eli Manning, of course, in that same interview talking about Daniel Jones, they asked him about Tom Brady and his transition to Tampa. Well, Eli, and rightfully so, Eli's not taking any shots at anybody, but he said, listen, I think it's going to be tough for him. The fact that he can't be doing everything he wants to be doing with the team and getting ready like he normally does will make it tougher. But listen, he has some playmakers, a receiver there, and when you got talented receivers like he has, it's going to make things a lot easier to get on the same page. He said it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, how quickly he can adjust to a new organization, new players, new offense. Everything is pretty much new to him, especially with the limited time he's going to have. Now, Coach, we know, of course, Brady playing with the Patriots for 20 years there. I've never been in an NFL locker room. I've never played a snap of NFL football, but I can say you've been doing something for 20 years straight, and you've got a habit of doing things, and now that habit changes a little bit. And we've seen Brady, of course, getting stopped there at the park in Tampa trying to work out and things like that, and working out in his backyard and out at Derek Jeter's old home over there in Tampa on the water. And Coach, when you look at a guy like Brady, who is a creature of habit, when you look at everything that he's done, taking care of his body, going through drills with other guys, things like that, just that connection that he has with people, do you see Brady struggling at all, I guess, any kind of transition here with the Tampa Bay Bucks, or do you think it's going to be business as usual for him?
Oh, it's going to be a little different because you have to have a rapport with receivers. But listen, he didn't have any receivers in New England.
It's very true.
And and they were throwing in new guys off of practice squads, basically, and they're at him every week. So he's going to be a heck of a lot more productive than anybody else would be. Now, this virus situation has hurt Tampa maybe as much as anybody, because think of how much more effective he would be if he'd had all this time to be working with those receivers down there. I think that's going to be a big factor. They're still going to be. Let me tell you, they're still going to be tough to beat. No question in my mind about that. And he'll have a heck of a year. But if he had had this off season, it would have been that much more. Tampa would have been ahead of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you give Tom Brady some time here, and that's where I think that the talent, you hit the nail on the head there. He played with pretty much nobody else except Julian Edelman, and teams figured out how to take Edelman away. And Josh Gordon was gone, Antonio Brown was gone. All that situation that happened is unfortunate because of how good that team could have been. The defense was good all year long, but they just couldn't get things going offensively. But do you give Brady some weapons like this? Listen, I am not a Bucs fan. I've made it clear I'm a Titans fan. But I am excited to see this rolling because it's been a while since we've seen Tom Brady have some weapons like they have there. Now, I understand, the team overall is a little bit different. The defense is young. They're still learning. They'll be better. The offensive line will be better. I thought, Tampa did a great job. Look, they got a steal in Tristan Wirfs later in the draft like that, later in the first round. Wirfs should not have been available, but he was. Awesome offensive lineman there out of Iowa to take. But this is going to be extremely fun to watch Brady go out there. And it's got to be Brady's got to feel like he's 4 or 5 years younger with weapons like he's going to have. But, and getting Gronkowski's a plus as well, even though we both believe, I agree with you on this, Coach, that Gronk will be more of a situational type guy. But, Coach, one question that was asked to me yesterday, and I want to ask to you is, look, this year for Baker Mayfield, I know we talked a little bit about the Browns yesterday, but is this a put-up-or-shut-up type year for Baker Mayfield? Listen, the Browns addressed a lot of problems, but the one thing that I mentioned yesterday to this fella was look, they've changed coaches. They've changed coaching staffs plenty of times. There's been no, I guess, normalcy in that locker room pretty much. When you've got the drama going on and everything, and Baker Mayfield has not helped with part of that drama, with learning not how to close his mouth, but seems like he's starting to grow up. We'll see. But he had a fantastic first year. Last year he struggled. The team had all this hype. They went 6-10. It was very it was rough to watch, to say the least, Coach. But when you look at this for Baker Mayfield, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be the year just because of all the coaching staff changes, starting to get some stability maybe in that organization there. They have a lot of talent, especially I think Austin Hooper was the biggest pickup of the offseason there. And we know picking up some guys in the draft with the offensive line will help. But is this the year? I mean, does Baker Mayfield have to show out this year, and do you think he will?
I think he's going to have a much better year than he did last year. I still think Baker Mayfield is a good young quarterback and has a chance to have a good career in the National Football League. But he needs to tone down his, be a little more humility, tone down his the number of comments that he makes, and also I think the ads, doing all the sponsor ads, he's on TV all the time. Last year, I think all that hurt him football-wise. It certainly did to his pocketbook, but it hurt him football-wise. They're a much better football team. I really believe that he's gonna have a much better year. Now, how much better year can he have in the division with the Steelers and the Ravens? Both very, very good defenses. Even last year, they went to Baltimore and just beat the heck out of Baltimore. So I think it's doable. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. You would have to think right now, most people are thinking Baltimore and then Pittsburgh, and that's going to be a heck of a shootout, and then Cleveland coming in third, maybe. I don't know that that's going to be the case. It would really, really be something if they do win that division or even get in the playoffs this year. That would be a big, big step forward. They will have improvement. I think they may get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they could squeak by, especially the big question mark is, how are teams going to change to that, Ravens offense and the style that they have now. And you've talked about it as well, as it's only a matter of time before they get shown up. And we saw the Titans, a team where you look at the stats, and look, Lamar Jackson had a good game by the stats, but you're throwing for almost 500 yards, or he threw for 500 yards. But nonetheless, when they get in the red zone, they shut him down, and that's something that's interesting there. You can only do that for so long. When you look at the Steelers, I think all their success is based off of Ben Roethlisberger. We saw that last year. This is a team that went 8-8, but had no quarterback. When Roethlisberger was out, look, Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, no offense to those guys, but they're not going to light the world on fire. And it's a team that defensively with the Steelers is fantastic, but I think it all rests on Ben Roethlisberger. There's no other plan right now. And when you look at the Browns, Coach, I agree. I think this is a team that could be the third best team in that division right now. But nonetheless, I think Baker's going to have a better year. I agree with you on that as well, too. But it's going to be interesting. Can Baker grow up? And if he's going to have a breakout year, I don't see him necessarily having a breakout year, but we'll see, because that division is so tough. Look, Baltimore's defense is extremely good as well. So, listen, we're up against a break, Coach. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. When we come back, we're going to talk about, look, as we've been doing for quite a while now, we've broken down every team from the SEC, working our way through the ACC. The NC State Wolfpack out of Raleigh right there. We're going to talk a little bit about them. A team that had a great 2018, and then 2019 was, well, the exact opposite. We'll talk more about them when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Want to know what I like best about high school sports? I love watching my son run on the field. I love the fact that since he's been playing high school sports, he's making better decisions. And I love knowing that with the proper equipment, education, conditioning, and coaching, high school sports here in Florida are safer than ever before. And that's something I really love.
This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Remember, continue to practice your social distancing. Getting some good news around the area, just seeing people out there doing their part. Good to see right now. But we're talking some football with you as always. Look, as we continue to move on through some teams here in the college ranks, we're talking about the NC State, Wolfpack. It's a team that maybe you don't talk a whole lot about around here. But there's a team in the ACC, Coach, that when you look at this team last year, going 4-8, I'll talk more about that later on. But this is a team that offensively, they struggled, to say the very least, averaging about 22 points, which was 107th in the nation, and giving up over 30 points a game, which was 82nd in the nation. A team with Dave Doran moving forward, they had a lot of struggles last year from a pretty successful 2018 in Doran's first year. Before I get into it, I will talk about their schedule real quick, running through here. They start on the road to take on the Louisville Cardinals, then back home to host, Mike Leach and that Mississippi State Bulldog team. They got to go to Troy. It could be a bit of a tough game for them, especially recouping with what they have right now. Take on the Troy Trojans. Back home for 3 games in a row against Delaware, Florida State. It's always a good one. And the Duke Blue Devils. They have to go to Death Valley to take on the Clemson Tigers. Back home for a couple games, take on Wake Forest and the Boston College Eagles. Then at the Carrier Dome right there to take on the Syracuse Orange. Back home to take on Liberty Flames. And then on the road at a up-and-coming team right now, which is going to be interesting to see this year, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Coach, looking at this team last year, now like I said, this is a team that finished 4-8. 2018, they finished 9-4. Now that was Dave Doran's first year. Dave Doran coming in, and after 2018, people thought he was going to leave and go to another job. He decided to stay. But had a disappointing 4-8 season. Now, after this 4-8 season, he basically revamped his coaching staff on both sides of the ball. Doesn't surprise you a whole lot. A lot of people saying Dave Doran doesn't have a whole lot of patience for stuff like this, but NC State has a lot of issues to address. To give you an idea of some of the new coordinators and position coaches, I'll run through this list real quick. Look, you've got Tim Beck, which was the offensive coordinator there at Texas. He is now the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach is on staff. Joe DeForest is the safeties coach. Brian Mitchell, cornerbacks coach. Charlie Wiles, defensive line coach. Freddie Autry is the Nichols coach there. Look, in bringing Dave Huxtable, they let him go, and they brought on Tony Gibson, who was a defensive co-coordinator last year, and moved him up to a defensive coordinator. So, like I said, Beck, I think, is a big pickup for them, the Texas offensive coordinator last year. This offense for the Wolfpack finished 88th in yards per game. It's not going to cut it. And remember, this is a team that plays in the ACC. When you look at the defense, they were 72nd in total defensive yards. So looking at a couple spots here to work on this year, Coach, the quarterback position is always a question for every single team. No different here. Devin Leary, will he retain the quarterback job? Well, he started 8 games last year and threw for a little over 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. May not be necessarily the guy you want to start. They've got a couple recruits that they're hoping to work out, but remember, spring practice was canceled, so a lot of these guys didn't get the looks that they wanted to of these guys, and we'll see what happens. The running back situation is probably a plus. They're returning all 3 running backs. They've got some guys like Zonovan Knight, Ricky Person Jr., but Person Jr. is a guy that suffered an ankle injury. The guy that I think that they'll probably rely on a lot more this year. He will be healthy. Good to see him back on the field. This NC State defense has got to get better. I mean, they have a lot of talent, but they're very inexperienced, to say the least. I know they got some new guys in there, Ibrahim Kante, Val Martin, and Ellie McNeil, that are coming back. They lost some players, but this is something interesting for that defense. They've got to get better. This is a team, like I said, this is a team that went 1-7 in the ACC, Coach. That's not going to cut it in a conference right now that is reeling to have some competition. I think for this personally, Dave Doran, listen, he had a 9-4 season, and then he went 4-8. A lot of people thought he was going to leave. If he has another season like that, he might be on the road, because the reason I say this, right up the road, right up I-40 right there in North Carolina, Mack Brown is building what looks to be a pretty good team in the North Carolina Tar Heels, and not to mention you're playing in a division with the Clemson Tigers, who've won 5 straight ACC titles. It's definitely not going to help things. But, Coach, looking at NC State Wolfpack here, I think it was a good move to kind of revamp their coaching staff, get a new culture in there. This is a team that, you know what, I can see them being middle of the road, and that's about as good as it's going to be right now, but 1-7 in the ACC is not going to cut it.
No, that's true. I think overall, I really thought Doran was going to do an outstanding job there after that 18 season. I liked everyone else. Saw North Carolina State really become a football team to contend. But I think they've got a long way to go. It's so difficult to recruit there, and now it's made even more difficult with Mack Brown coming back to North Carolina. And then, of course, Clemson beats up all of the energy in the conference, and any recruit that anybody thinking about going to the ACC, if they have a chance to go to Clemson, that's where they're going to go. So it's extremely difficult for him. Keep in mind, too, that they have to recruit over into Tennessee. And with Tennessee now doing a better job recruiting, that becomes more difficult. So I would agree with you. I think they're going to be hard pressed to win many more games than they did last year. Obviously, they got to play better defensively, but if they win five ball games, I can't see them winning 6 or 7, but I could see them winning 5 games. Maybe they could get over the hump, win 6. But that's going to be about the top of the about as high as they're going to get on the bar.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I think in order for them to get 6 wins, looking at their schedule, you're going to have to beat a team like Mississippi State, which is going to be interesting to see what Mississippi State and how teams react to that offense as well. You're going to have to probably beat either a Mississippi State, a Florida State. We know how Florida State's up and coming right now. Clemson, which probably won't happen. North Carolina, which right now that team looks pretty good, especially the way they finished the season. And, a team that can be tricky is Syracuse when they're playing in that dome. It's always a team that's going to give you, a heck of a game, and Dino Babers and what he's done with that squad and just how tough it is to recruit. I can't imagine at Syracuse. I know we'll talk about them later on, but later on in the month. But nonetheless, Coach, I agree. I think for 6 wins, it's going to be tough. And, after 4-8 last season, I really had high hopes for Dave Doran. We'll see. I mean, he revamped the coaching staff, but you know what? What's so tough now is you revamp the coaching staff, but your spring practice was canceled. So you don't get to get that hands-on like you were hoping. But nonetheless, look, NC State 1-7, like I said in the ACC, that will not cut it. If you have another season like that, Dave Doran might be on his way out, but we'll see. Nonetheless,
and it's not necessarily a good thing to have fired all your staff and hired new coaches. That's not always a good thing to do. It creates an unsettled climate there within or on their football team and in that locker room as well. So people are looking around. That's not a great thing to do.
Yeah, even more pressure now with everything that's going on. You're absolutely right. It makes you look over your shoulder, and that's never a good thing for any football team in general, whether it's a player or coaching staff. So, Coach, listen up. We got to go to a break here. When we come back, Nick Saban had some comments about Tua in order for him to have success in the NFL. Some interesting comments here. I want to get your take on this. We'll talk about it more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
The latest sports news is at ESPNpensacola.com and on Facebook at ESPN Pensacola. Plus, watch Chad Brillante, Coach K, and Sports Call live on our exclusive YouTube channel, ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
Credit a great performance by Garoppolo. And I love the way he throws the football. He's got all the things going for him.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Final segment of the show. Hope you're doing well. We're talking some football with you as always. Coach, one thing we talked about Tua in the draft, and the big question with Tua was, well, look, are the Dolphins going to take him, or where is he going to fall? Is it, because we heard a lot of teams were skeptical of his injuries, rightfully so. Nonetheless, the Dolphins didn't surprise anybody really when it all came down to it. They took Tua Tagovailoa, 5th overall. Didn't have to trade up, so it all worked out for him. But Saban, of course, had some comments about Tua. Now, Saban, nobody knows Tua much like Saban does, and Saban has a special bond with the quarterback. We saw that. It meant a lot to him, and we even saw Saban almost break down sometimes talking about Tua after his injury. But Saban went on to a couple things that he said he needs to do in order to have some success in the NFL, and part of it was self-preservation. He said, look, one thing we've always tried to convince him of is you got to learn some self-preservation. It's a part of the quarterback position. He said he's a great competitor. You don't want to take away his competitive spirit, but he's always trying to make a play, even when the play breaks down. And that's good. He does it well. He made a ton of those plays in some certain circumstances, but I still think there are times when there's just nothing there. Several times when he got hurt here, I felt like there's no reason for him to even get hit, yet he continued to go. The receiver fell down. Whatever the circumstance was, there was nothing there. Play the next play. Sometimes the other guy wins, but I think that's probably number one or number two, why he is so instinctive. Coach, when you look at this, Saban, of course, talking about he was just rooting for the guy. He felt bad for him getting injured, but the consequences of injuries can be dire when you look at it. And for him to say this, I agree with him. I completely agree with what Saban said about self-preservation. And we know, like, coaching a player that has that competitive spirit like a Tua that doesn't want to give up on a play can be the downfall of you. But when you look at Tua and what Saban said, do you agree with the comments?
Partially, I do, and I do think that he's got to take steps to decrease the number of big hits that he gets, and he can do that sliding, and he can do it by throwing the ball away, and on certain occasions and that type of thing. But you don't want to dim that competitive spirit. You just don't want to do that, because think about all the good ones. Think about the Bradys and even Roethlisberger, those guys, how they stand in there and look it in the eye and get rid of the ball and make the big plays down the field. You have to be able to do that in this league. So that has to be a part of it. He does that, and you don't want to dampen that, but you do want to. There's certain times that he takes hits that he could have gotten rid of the ball, or did the slide deal and avoided the hit. He's going to have to do that. So I guess I'm somewhere in between. I'll lean to agreeing with Saban, but with the stipulation that be very, very careful about it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Coach. It's something you can't take that competitive spirit away, but there's got to be a little give and take on it. But nonetheless, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. We didn't get to everything, but you know what? We will. But it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. Look forward to it every day, JP. Look forward to tomorrow.
Absolutely, Coach. We appreciate our listeners as well tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola. 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
It's First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News. Heck, you can even just talk to your smart speakers. Tell them to play ESPN Radio. Hang out with us that way. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Jason Fitz. Let's get you started off with some headlines that you need to know, mostly because this is just really fun to say for me.